Hello everybody, it's Mr. Garin, and I'm trying out something new here for class, which is posting a video online, in this case about something we've already learned. These are types of government that we studied in class. Now, I'd like to hear some feedback on this lesson because I think what I would like to do in the future is to see if, before we start a lesson, I could post a video online about the material. This would give you some knowledge before class about what we will be learning, and it may be easier for you than just taking notes in class and listening to me, which might be difficult for some students. On the video, you'll be able to rewind whenever you want to. You'll be able to pause the video, so you may find it more helpful. And if that's so, then I'd like to provide you with that option. But this lesson will be about types of government. The first one we're talking about, and most important to us, are the different types of democracy. Democracy, we know, means power to the people, power of the people, power for the people. And that you have two types of governments that are democracies, a direct democracy and a representative democracy. And you have other governments that we talked about as well: anarchy, monarchy, dictatorship, oligarchy. So a few things that you should remember about each of these governments for the EOC. The idea of a democracy starts off in ancient Greece. You may remember this from world history class. The city of Athens has what we call direct democracy. And later in time, the city or the empire of Rome would have a representative democracy. So we have two types of government here that are government run by the people. The key difference is, in a direct democracy, citizens are involved in all decisions that the government makes. In a representative democracy, the people elect their leaders to vote for them on all issues. That is the key difference. Direct democracy, all the people are involved in all decisions. In a representative democracy, the people elect representatives to go vote for them on all the issues. This picture would give you an idea about what a direct democracy might look like. Today we think that a direct democracy would not work in the United States because it's too big. We would not be able to find out what everyone would want to vote on every issue that the government had. It's just too large of a country and we have too many people. So we are not a direct democracy. We do not vote all the time on every issue. We only, in most cases, vote once a year to change our government, to change who our leaders are. So this picture would give us an idea about what a representative democracy might look like. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to fit representative here, but I will try. Representative. I'm going to have to write smaller here, and I just get it in. How about that? So this is an example of a representative democracy. This is a picture of our Congress. Most people in this room that you were looking at have been elected to their positions, and it is their job to go to Washington, D.C. and represent the people who have voted for them. If they are not doing the job they were elected to do during the next election, they should not be voted back into office. This is our form of saying that the people have the power in the government. Even though we are not a direct democracy where people are involved in all decisions, the power lies with the people to elect their leaders. And when those leaders are not doing a good job, to choose at the next opportunity not to put them back in office. The United States has a representative democracy, and as we know from our studies and our vocabulary words, this is also known as a republic. A direct democracy is the same thing as a republic. We know that when we pledged allegiance in the morning, we mention the republic of the United States. It's an easy EOC answer if we can identify that a representative democracy is a republic. That should be an easy question for us. The RE, the RE, the REP, easy to connect those two words. So in conclusion, we look at this slide and it simply tells us that in a direct democracy, citizens themselves choose their laws. They're involved in every decision. They're involved in voting. And in a representative democracy, people elect representatives to vote for them. But in both of these forms of government, it is said that the people have the power. People have the power. So the next form of government we are going to look at is when there is only one person in charge, or one person has most of the power. One person is responsible for making most of the rules. The people don't have any say in this government. If the people don't like what the government is doing, they often have no ability to change it. And people who disagree with the government are often thrown in jail, punished, or worse. The two forms of government we're going to look at are monarchy and a dictatorship. Now, what might be confusing about this is that some monarchies that we know today are not examples of something where one person is in charge. The Queen of England, for instance, is not in control of England. England has a democracy. England has a representative democracy. Great Britain has a representative democracy. They vote for their leaders. The Queen does not have the power to make or change laws in Great Britain. What we're talking about when we say one person is in charge is an absolute monarchy. The old idea of what many governments used to be, the example being King George during the Revolution with the colonists. The king was responsible for the direction of the government at that time. So when we say absolute monarchy, we mean a monarch that does have all the power. And secondly, a dictatorship, where one person is in charge, was not elected to office. Let's take a closer look at that example. So you have a dictator who has not been elected to office. The people are usually afraid of this leader. They use force to control their citizens. Oftentimes they have, in almost every case, they have the backing of the military behind them. They control the police, they control the military. Therefore, citizens are not likely to be against their rule. Examples of this are in this cartoon, Saddam Hussein in Iraq, but we can also think of places like North Korea. We can think of the Fidel Castro regime in Cuba and Chavez in Venezuela. Many people would argue that Vladimir Putin is also a dictator. So when you're thinking of a dictatorship, you're thinking of a government that is not really good to its citizens, does not care about being fair to its citizens, and does not take into account often what citizens will think of what the government is doing, and citizens don't have the ability to change their government. Then we have the example of a monarchy, and here we have George Washington simply breaking it down. If you have a monarchy, if you're having monarchy problems, I feel bad for you, son. I got 99 problems, but a king ain't one. And we think of an absolute monarchy. Also, not great to be a citizen in an absolute monarchy where the king is making all the decisions, where the king is in charge and citizens have no say. So we should be able to remember a monarchy is a government with a king or a queen. And finally, we'll look at these last two examples very quickly because we just have to remember the vocabulary in this instance. An anarchy is a place where there is no government. An anarchy is chaos. There are no laws. There is no leader, and people can do as they wish. There is no example of a monarchy that exists in the world today. And an oligarchy is where a few people are in charge. A group of people are in charge of the government. Oftentimes these are military leaders who have together taken control of a government, or it could be a few people in the society with a lot of money and power that can control things. So an oligarchy is a few people are in charge, while an anarchy is nobody is in charge. Our example of a anarchy is the purge, an example where there are no rules in this government. Nobody has any laws to follow. People can do as they wish, and the most powerful people will probably be the people that survive. Anarchy, we do not think of as a possible form of government today, but we need to remember the word. Finally, an oligarchy, where a select few people are in charge. This is a good definition of an oligarchy, a government. And funny, I've just realized that someone has spelled that word wrong. I did not create this slide. I downloaded it from the internet, and it's a good example for you to say, when you download these things, even group is spelled wrong. Isn't that funny? This is a terrible little thing here. Group. So, 2 words spelled wrong in that one little sentence. It's a beautiful picture. It's a nice word, but the definition there, 3 words spelled wrong. How about that? Somebody who made this did not edit it. I promise it wasn't me. Government in which a small group of people hold power. You really don't even need that in there. A small group of people hold the power. I'm digressing here from the lesson. Remember what an oligarchy is. One thing we also talked about was a theocracy being a government where it is ruled by religious people. It's a religious government. We thought of Middle Eastern countries like Iran, where their top religious person is their leader, and that most of the laws in the country are about what their religion believes is right and wrong. So a theocracy can be a democracy, it can be an oligarchy, it can be a dictatorship, but it's a form of government that's based on religion. And with that, we've covered most of what I wanted to talk about in this lesson. I think after I post this, I'll have a couple of questions one day in class that we can answer about this to see if it's been helpful. But with that, I'm going to end the lesson. Thanks for listening.